Yet again, it seems like they've patched the Tombstone duplication glitch, but I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how you can still do it today as a solo player or as a team. Now with this method, you're going to be able to duplicate essence and items at the same time. Now this glitch is very easy to do, but it's important that you follow the steps in order to do this right, because you can lose your tombstone very easily if you are not paying attention. Now first of all, you will need a partner for this glitch. Now there are two different ways that you can do this. You can either maintain or you can actually duplicate. Now maintaining, you can do this by yourself. You just need a random player in the game, and I'll go over that in a little bit. But if you actually want to duplicate your items now, you're going to need a second player at least that will cooperate with you for multiple games. So I'm going to be going through those steps now. But first of all, I just want to go through these steps if you want to actually duplicate essence along with your items. I would highly suggest it because at the end of the day, you use essence all the time and it makes your games a lot easier to start and finish. So let's get right into it. Alright, so here we are in this first game that we searched for. I'm going to name this game 1. Alright, so for game 1, you have an option that you can do. You can either spend a partial amount of the game actually doing missions and gaining a little bit of essence that you are going to duplicate later, or you can spend the entire game and make sure that you are in the best spot possible. I would suggest the latter of the two. I would suggest that you spend the entire first game just simply doing missions and gaining a bunch of cash. And then at the end of it, you can take a tombstone like normal and just simply die. But the reason why we're going to do missions now is because for each player that you have on the team, it's actually going to multiply your earnings. So for example, if you want to do a tier 2 delivery contract, or any contract for that matter, they are worth 3,000 essence as a reward. So knowing that if you have 3 players, each contract that you do is going to be worth 9,000 essence. Now it's important to remember that whatever your total amount of essence is what you are going to be duplicating, regardless of if you want to share or not. Just know that you need one person to actually hold the essence later on in this glitch. So let's get into it. Now, just as an example, I wanted to show you guys exactly what it looks like. So I complete this contract, and for those who don't know, you can see at the bottom left, I've now gained 6,000 plus whatever rewards I have here. So I would highly suggest that you do this in tier 2, because what that's going to allow is sometimes you may get a rare schematic, you may get a little bit rarer of drops, and you can just simply drive to each delivery contract. That's what I do personally. It's kind of brain dead, and they are the quickest contracts possible, but you can really do any contracts that you want, even tier 1 contracts. Alright, so here's where the fun begins. So if your priority is items, you can do all of these steps in your first game, but I'm going to call this game 2 because my priority is essence. And if your priority is essence, again, make sure that you use the entire first game to gain essence, and then come back in game 2 after setting a tombstone with all that essence. So here we are in game 2, and my teammate is going to go ahead and give me all of their essence. This essentially doubles your essence. Now, obviously no glitches happen, but let's get into it. So we're going to use tombstone at this point. Of course, all the time, anytime that we do a tombstone duplication glitch, tombstone is going to be required. So go ahead and find it around the map. Now, if you know how to do the Superman glitch with the Scorcher where you keep firing it up in the air, go ahead and do that. If you don't know that glitch, go ahead and check it in the description. But I'm going to go ahead and save my tombstone can for my teammate, and I'm going to go ahead and go grab tombstone and come back. Alright, so here we are back at my teammate. So now I have tombstone equipped, and I have all of the items and essence that I want to duplicate. Notice how I have 10,000 now because I spent 2,000 on tombstone. So with this glitch, one thing that I highly suggest that you guys do is always do at least one tier 1 contract, or just simply in general terms, get 2,000 essence every game, because what's going to happen is regardless if you always have a teammate or not, you're always going to be -1 tombstone soda, right? Because the way that you do this glitch is you are going to set a tombstone before you actually hand those items over. So you'll see here, I'll shoot myself up in the air. I will drop the Scorcher right before I go down, which is not required, but Scorchers just make your life easier, all right? So then go ahead and give up and then plead for help. So remember, you had tombstone, you were in the same game, you go down and plead for help, and then you are going to wait for either your teammate or a random person to pick you up. Now, specifically right here, this is where you could get a random person to actually pick you back up, and you will have effectively set a tombstone here, but that will not duplicate your item. So you'll notice that tombstone is now gone from the bottom of my screen. Therefore, it has been used, and there should be a tombstone right where I'm sitting. So to actually duplicate your items, what you're going to want to do is, first of all, you're going to want to drop all of your essence back to your teammate, as well as all of your items. Now, my teammate here does not have a large rucksack, and while you're doing this glitch, you're actually going to lose your large or medium rucksack. So just keep that in mind. And personally, I would say if you want ease of access and you just want no barrier of entry as far as doing this glitch goes, right? You want to go into each game and it be as simplistic as possible. I would highly suggest that you always do this glitch with a small rucksack. I know it's not exactly the most convenient thing, but it will absolutely make your life a lot easier if all you're doing is playing zombies, doing missions, and doing like the dark ether and things like that. If you're doing very simple stuff, then that should be enough in your rucksack, and you can just simply buy one each game if you need it. But what you want to do is give your teammate all of the essence and items, and they need to make sure they have Tombstone, which he just drank the soda, and then he's going to go ahead and down himself. Now, when he downs himself, it's super important that you remember he needs to give up, and then he also needs to plead for help. Now, you're going to have to communicate this with them because I noticed it doesn't actually say plead for help if you're on the same team. Now, if you leave squad right before you do this section where you down yourself and plead for help, it will actually tell you once they've completed the plead for help thing. But if you're on the same team, just keep in mind you need to communicate that. Now, both of these are my accounts. I'm actually playing both characters, so therefore it's just easier for me to actually just keep track of that. So anyway, anything that you actually have on you, you're actually going to lose at this point. So these two ether blades as well as this schematic, I'm going to lose simply because I had way too much stuff while I'm trying to duplicate. But again, I wanted to just get this glitch out to you guys, so make sure you hit that like button below because I literally sacrificed a schematic for my second account for this. Alright, so the last two steps to this glitch are very important, so let's go through the first one now. So you have two options at this point. You can either get yourself eliminated or just straight up leave the game. But I like to keep the guardrails up because this game, let's be honest, it is so glitchy, it's not even funny. There are so many problems with this game, from multiplayer to warzone to zombies. It's just a very scary thing to lose your Tombstone every game. I even got disconnected while trying to record this glitch. So just beware of that. I would suggest that you get eliminated, but you can also just leave at this point. So let's get into the last step of this glitch now. Now here we are in, let's call it game 3, and we're going to go back to the area in which we downed ourselves, and you're going to notice your tombstones are there. Now it's important to keep in mind that whatever you want to duplicate, you need to make sure that each player has on their person when they get downed and plead for help, because what's going to happen is whatever is on them at that time is going to get snapshotted and saved. So to make sure you have the minimum amount of loss each game, make sure that you do this as early as possible. Don't use your Scorcher, don't use your Ether Blade, whatever you want to actually have at the beginning of each game. Make sure you just go do a mission, go buy Tombstone, or if you have a ton of essence, then just go buy Tombstone and make sure that you get yourself down, plead for help, and get picked back up. And that's it. As long as you repeat that, you can maintain. And then if you have a secondary player to actually share essence, you can see here, then you can just keep swapping the essence to one player, downing yourself with Tombstone, which you can see I have a Tombstone soda right here, and that's it. Just keep repeating the process. You will easily get 900,999 essence. I can just keep duplicating, let's say, dog bones and scorchers or whatever I want. Each time that you do this, you're going to have double of each one of those items, right? So therefore, you can just simply drop the items you don't want and then keep duplicating the ones that you do, and I could have a small rucksack full of scorchers here if I wanted. But just keep in mind that, again, each time that you do this, whatever you use before you actually go down and plead for help will be lost. So therefore, these Tombstone sodas being in your large rucksack or your small rucksack or whatever you have are no longer useful, because think about it. If you have to use Tombstone before you actually get yourself down and plead for help to do this glitch, unlike the one with bad signal, right, where you buy Tombstone or use the can and then you close the game on exfil and it tricks it and says, hey, oh, he actually exfilled with these items plus his Tombstone should be back. There's no double Tombstone at this point. So in closing, I just want to say, if you want to do this solo, you're only going to maintain your items. Again, just make sure that you actually down yourself with Tombstone and plead for help at the beginning of the game and get some random person to pick you up. And if you want to duplicate items, you are going to need a second person, and to do it exactly how I've shown here today. So if you guys appreciate this video, make sure you hit that like button. I'd appreciate your support. Subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys next time.